Oh, f off. Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you lot are all doing well. Man, the unbeaten run is over. 17 games, 1-0 lost to Everton away at Goodison Park with fans back in the stadium, which I think helped Everton and also swayed the referee. 1-0 to Everton via a Gylfi Sigurðsson penalty won by Dominic Calvert-Lewin, conceded by Edouard Mendy. Oh, frustrating. This is your match review, boys and girls. Strap yourselves in. Look, right, I'm going to get straight in and say I was really feeling quite confident about this game before we went into it. You know, I was like, they don't have any fullbacks. They're playing 4 centre-backs. We're going to kill this. And then we conceded a goal, and I was like, oh no, they're playing 4 centre-backs. So I want to talk about the game today, player performances, and it turns out you need wingers. Especially if you want to play a 4-3-3. You need wingers. You just need wingers. We didn't have any wingers. Hey, you know what? Football therapy is usually really positive and fun and sometimes even insightful, so consider subscribing if you're new to the experience. And look, if you want to make me feel better, that would be very kind. Please do drop a like. Anyway, look, let's stop this nonsense intro and get into the game. Right, Frank Lampard versus Carlo Ancelotti. Obviously, the last time we played the Toffees was that 4-0 win where we absolutely beasted them and had an incredible performance led by Billy Gilmour in midfield, who won man of the match in that game. Peculiar game today. Chelsea had no wingers, Everton had no fullbacks, but still, in terms of the respective form, I thought Chelsea were going to win, and Chelsea were probably almost certainly favourites, especially if you reflect upon how negative the form has been of Everton of late. But I said it at the top of the video, and I want to reiterate the fact of fans back in Goodison. I think they really did lift the team, you could see it. And I know this sounds like generic opposition fan, opinion, but I think it did sway John Moss in certain situations. So 1-0 to the Toffees, Dominic Calvert-Lewin juggling the ball on his head in the area, and Edouard Mendy coming out, making a mistake and just sort of body tackling him, it looked like, clear penalty, and he nearly won another one as well if it wasn't for offside. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was very good in this game for a player who didn't see any of the ball. Anyway, Gylfi Sigurðsson steps up, a very calm penalty, tucks it in the corner, gives Edouard Mendy the eyes, and then we're up against it. We are playing against 4 centre-halves and Carlo Ancelotti, who's not defensive manager, just being a bit smart here. He's like, you know what, I'm going to play this smart, we're going to defend what we got, because currently we don't have any James Rodriguez, we don't have any James Rodriguez, we don't have fullbacks, we've got 4 centre-halves. Let's defend this lead and see how it goes. So that makes sense for him. Chelsea have a lot of the ball. They had like 75% possession or something mad. And yeah, Chelsea were unable to sort of convert any chances here. And because we didn't have any wingers, the balance was out. There's so many things. But we're going to go through player performances. So make sure you stick around till a little bit later, and we're going to go through that because that's a big one. And I know Chelsea had a lot of good players on the pitch, but for some reason there was no chemistry, there was no balance, there was no interchanging football. It all just seemed off. Except, of course, Reece James. I will wax lyrical about Reece James a bit later. We hit the post in both halves, and ultimately, other than that, in terms of open play, how things went, it was not much to sort of chat about. Chelsea with a lot of benign possession and frustrating moments. Alright then, let's take a look at that who scored graphic and have a look at how Frank Lampard lined up in this game. So, it was a 4-3-3 as you would imagine, and no surprises with Mendy in goal, nor the backline with James and Chilwell in the fullback positions, Thiago Silva and Air Zuma winning absolutely every single aerial duel in the centre-half positions. N'Golo Kante at the base of midfield, and he is flanked by Mason Mount and Kovacic, who all three of them have been excellent this season. Olivier Giroud keeps his place up front from good form. Timo Werner starts on his left, and Kai Havertz starts on his right to cut in with his left boot, which pretty much was our only option without Pulisic, unless you put Mount out there, but you'd lose Mount's positive effects in midfield, and you would have assumed pre-match that Kai Havertz would do better out on that right wing. Sub appearances from Tammy Abraham and Billy Gilmour, which I tweeted at halftime, put those two on, Frank did. wasn't enough. Chelsea lost 1-0. Very, very frustrating. I understand why Frank went for this lineup, and I understand why the formation. I understand his 2 subs. I wanted him to put those two subs on, which he did. Perhaps Billy Gilmour could have come on a little bit earlier just to get some more faster passing in the midfield. It's all very frustrating. I mean, let's do a captain hindsight. What would you have changed? Would you have perhaps gone 4-4-2 with Giroud and Tammy? But you'd want the 3 up front to kind of do as much as possible in terms of offensive actions in the final third. It's very frustrating. I'm not sure what Frank could have done differently because we had the possession. We just couldn't get it into their final third. I think it was literally a lack of chemistry. Like, Chelsea just weren't on it. They just weren't on it. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Anyway, let's go through player performances and talk about how everyone did. Starting up with a big man in goal, Edouard Mendy. He's been pretty flawless so far this season, but it's a straight up mistake. He conceded a penalty, it was a penalty, and that was it. It was a big mistake from him. It cost Chelsea maybe a point. You could argue if we don't concede that, Everton come out a little bit more. Chelsea are afforded spaces. Chelsea go and win the game. So you can make a case for that, but you don't know for sure. I mean, you can't really hate on Edouard Mendy after the great season he's had so far. So there is that. Left back, Ben Chilwell didn't have his best game. He wasn't the worst player on the pitch, but I didn't think he had his best game. Similarly, I don't know if this is controversial, but I don't personally think Thiago Silva was that great, purely because I keep him on such high standards. In terms of him being the sort of playmaker centre-half that he has been for Chelsea lately, I didn't really see much of that from him. I don't know perhaps if there wasn't movement enough in front of him from players making themselves available or not. So I'm not so sure. I think Zuma was great, personally. He won absolutely every single aerial duel. He's just, when he gobbles up everything in the air. I don't know what's happened to him, whether it's Anthony Barry or Thiago Silva, but the Zuma's gone on a madness. He was great. And Reece James, man of the match for me, certainly from Chelsea, maybe in the whole game. If you looked at one player out of those 22 players and said, who's played the best football, you'd probably highlight Reece James and say, it's him. He's been the best player today. I don't think like neutrals or Everton fans many would argue with that. You know, Calvert-Lewin was great or whatever, but still, Reece James was superb. He hit the post. He did it with great defensive actions. Often our most threatening player going forwards, all from right back, man. So pretty darn good. Kante's pretty good. I feel like he wasn't on so sharp. He was chasing. Well, he does chase down, that's what he does, doesn't it? But I feel like, I don't know, he didn't really affect the game that well. But I think when we have so much of the ball, which we did against Everton, we would have been better with a Jorginho or Billy Gilmour playing that role. Kovacic, I think, grew into the game. I was thinking he was being ineffective, but he had a few good actions. But really, you want Mount and Havertz both on form in those 8 positions when you've got so much of the ball like this. Mason Mount was pretty good. He was really unlucky with a free kick. I think he hit the post. He wasn't amazing, but compared to a lot of the other players, I think he was pretty decent. Giroud for me was frustrating. By far the worst game he's had for us. Not this season, but in this run of his good form, he was very, very frustrating. Timo Werner, not good really, but I don't want to criticise him too much because, you know, he's not playing with the players he should be, or not, you know, I want to see him down the middle a little bit. He's farmed out wide. Sometimes he can look really good out wide, but I don't know, maybe he's still finding himself in this team. And Kai Havertz had a bad game. I mean, people have talked about him having a bad start at Chelsea. I don't think he's had a great start at Chelsea, but bad, I think, is a little bit of a harsh criticism, considering he's basically demonstrated how good he is on the ball. I know he scored a hat-trick in the Cup, but we can't really judge him on that. You know, goal and assist here and there, great movement, great versatility. So I think he's been okay, pretty decent so far. Today, he had a bad game. He was just very poor. He made a few good runs in the second half, but other than that, the first half was dismal from him. For some reason, he wasn't passing to Reece James. It was frustrating. I just don't want to see him on the right wing. I don't want to see Mason Mount on the right wing. I don't want to see Kai Havertz. I said pre-match it makes sense, and in theory, it might make sense, but not great for me. So it's very, very frustrating. And then obviously he gets subbed, Tammy comes on, and then we've got 3 strikers up front in Giroud, Tammy and Werner, 3 finishers. But that's ultimately, you want wingers, you want balance, you want chemistry, you want functionality in your front 3 in your attack, and we didn't have that. Obviously Gilmour came on, looked pretty pokey. Gilmour probably should have come on earlier and we would be in business. But that's it. So what do you guys think? It's frustrating. Leave your comments and thoughts down in the comment section below and let me know what you thought of this game. If you've enjoyed the content I brought to you today, please do drop a like. It helps me out a lot, man. Subscribe if you're new. We'll win the next game, I'm sure. We move, ladies and gentlemen. Up the Chelsea. Enjoy the football. I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.